Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Ground Tactician The Civil War, where we're playing the Union Career Mode. Last episode we captured multiple Confederate cities and pushed back the enemy further. But they were able to recruit a few more units and the supply state of our armies is critical. Also, their morale has not yet crumbled, so before we dive in, let's quickly check the overall strategy to see how the situation is looking. If we look on the front lines, we can see that we control the majority of these hills. We have about 3,000 soldiers and 1 artillery piece behind our lines in West Virginia. In the Deep South, we are currently contesting Charlotte. South Carolina is the only state that we haven't stepped foot in yet. The only large cities there are Columbia and Marion. And for North Carolina, we can see that there are a couple more Confederate forces around. The army of Shenandoah is in the area with 11,000 soldiers. Reynolds' division is also there with about 1,000 men, and I'm sure there are also a couple more small contingents in this blob. Further to the south, we have the army of Virginia with roughly 2,000 men. Otherwise, to the east, the army of the Potomac has set up together with the army of North Carolina. And further to the north, Buccaneer Senior's division has also been deployed. And the goal for this episode is clear. We're going to capture Charlotte and we're going to send troops to Wilmington, Columbia and Marion. We can see that the national morale of the Confederacy is down to 60, but their national support is up to a whopping 83. However, they managed to maintain that. The morale of their armies is also for the moment higher than ours. And they were able to bring their numbers up to 22,000 men again. So far we have achieved each and every of our objectives. The only one that we have not yet reached is to break the Confederate morale. Hopefully this is going to happen quickly once we have captured the last Confederate towns. And so far the only thing that we could do for our soldiers is to organize a couple better weapons for them. We can see that the army of occupation is about to get into battle. They only have very limited amount of provisions left, but they do have some ammunitions. We can see that the Confederacy apparently has built up a supply station in the area, meaning that if we are able to take over these supplies, our soldiers might be able to be well fed again. Further to the west, the army of the Shenandoah is trying desperately to get to Charlotte. I hope they actually arrive there. Over here, McDowell's raiders are on their way of getting into Wilmington. And I'm right now actually wondering if it would be a wise decision to send these soldiers down into Marion and Columbia, or if it would be wiser for them to focus on the upcoming enemies. Over here we still have some provisions left. Our soldiers are getting closer to the enemy. There is another supply station over here that we intend of capturing. And to our north we can see that around Norfolk we are building up a supply depot so that these forces are also once more well fed. Alongside Whitewell, the army of New York is moving closer to Lynchburg. Over there we should have some provisions in the area, meaning that these soldiers are then once more getting ready to action and they're going to deal with the army of the Northwest once our men have recovered. Okay, this should be everything taken care of, and if I'm not mistaken we are going to jump into a battle immediately. Yes, McClellan's forces are in contact with Jackson. Jackson has about 10,000 infantry while we have over 19,000. And from the looks of it, we should have them available almost immediately. So let's get into action. Gentlemen, today is November 12, 1862. Our scouts report that the enemy is near Asheboro, North Carolina, and our army is to prepare for battle. We are facing the army of Shenandoah under command of Thomas J. Jackson, with strength of some 9,000 men and 12 guns. The enemy army is battle experienced and morale is reported to be eager. Reports indicate their supply situation is outstanding. The supply state of our army is outstanding as well. The battle can begin, and for the first part of this battle we only have 18,000 men present on the battlefield, while the enemy is apparently in full strength. Our objectives are these positions alongside Cooper Mountain and this farmstead down here. The terrain is swampy and there are a lot of trees in the area. The best way to approach would be potentially alongside this area, because this clearing offers us a position for our artillery. But I guess this fight has to be won with infantry. For now I'm going to send our forces forward together alongside Dixon. Finally, our reinforcements have arrived. They are also coming from the north, I reckon. Once more of them are on the battlefield, we can finally send them forward. We are definitely going to need their artillery. The majority of our forces are almost at their objective. The enemy has not yet moved. All of our forces are exhausted from their long march, and I doubt that we are going to get into action today. The rest of our forces have arrived. I'm simply going to order them forward. It is 17 o'clock and I hope they're getting close enough so that we can simply deploy them overnight in an advantageous position. Tomorrow we will have to clash the enemy, and we also do not have a lot more time. Otherwise we are running out of provisions and mass desertion is going to take place. We have received news from our quartermaster. We have enough infantry and artillery ammunition and we have forged for 3 days, but our provisions are nearly exhausted. And unfortunately our 2nd division is unable to directly link up with our own forces. The battle can begin and our reinforcements are going to gather alongside Welsh and Sullivan. After that they have to push down this road to contest the enemy. There's really not another way to approach them. But we have seen something interesting. They have deployed parapets and it looks like they have also sent an entire brigade forward. This is seemingly a mix of Miles' brigade and Ashby's brigade. And their flank is vulnerable for our soldiers, meaning that if we could push those back, we would have an easy time preparing for our assault. Therefore our 1st brigade is going to come up. We are going to deploy over here. We are going to smash their flank if possible. McLellan for the moment has to hang back to make sure that orders are delivered to these forces. We can see that they start to move out. These men are about to receive their orders. Very good. Let's get McLellan back to our forces to make sure that we can command the battle more effectively. We might be able to continue this fight for another day. After that our soldiers would starve and we would be forced to retreat, and I absolutely do not want to risk that. Our morale is down to 49%, while the enemy morale is at 70. The longer we wait, the closer we are going to get to a morale defeat. Our first contingents are about to arrive. We can see that the enemy is not really prepared for that. I am not going to send out many detachments, but I want the detachment from the 2nd Virginia out. They are going to make sure that this side is protected from the enemy infantry detachment. The rest of us can focus on their infantry mainline. After that we are going to dig in alongside this position and prepare for the rest of our forces to arrive. We can see that they're willing to send out 4th Brigade. They have 600 soldiers. They have the 4th Mississippi Battery ready. And apparently more of their forces are now coming up. This might end in disaster for us, this attack that I have so carelessly ordered. But we simply have to engage the enemy if we want to have any chance of succeeding today. Our 1st brigade is going to get into contact. The rest of our forces are going to set up to greet the freshly arriving enemy reinforcements. I'm therefore going to order them forward. Maybe the buildings are going to give a little bit of cover, and these men also need to move up. More enemy reinforcements are coming in. Where are our own men? First parts are about to arrive. Cohesion in this line is looking okay. Once the first parts have arrived, they are going to be sent down on the enemy flank. We can see that these detachments are already wavering. That is acceptable. These men need to move forward though to get the 1st Georgia off our back. We can see that the 4th North Carolina is now taking flanking damage. Our artillery bombardment has started on these forces, and there apparently the 1st Georgia is struggling and falling back. I'm going to reduce the time now. These men from Indiana are struggling to deploy, and enemy cavalry artillery is behind our lines. Let's send our men forward to maybe silence them before they can do too much harm. But these men need to shift. We are getting outflanked here. More of our forces are now coming up. Let's focus on these batteries as long as we can still do this. We see that the 18th Georgia is coming up. These men need to move forward. We have infantry blobbing up. Not much that I can do about it in the moment. And these men, I want them to move. We have some units that are flanked. I accidentally wasn't ready to face the enemy, because I was assuming that we had the majority of our soldiers already present on the field. But these men now need to shift themselves. Our forces are getting ready. We are routing some of the enemy, and we can see that they're sending a huge bunch of men forward. Let's get our cavalry also on the flank. Maybe we can hold out long enough. And over here these men need to charge up to this new position. Maybe this is going to protect their flank. Getty's detachment is still miraculously holding. The 14th North Carolina has taken 46 casualties. And our 1st Brigade is already able to come down. The rest still needs a little bit more time. I'm already going to give them new orders. It is going to take some time until these orders arrive. I hope these were all the men. Unfortunately, Union cohesion is already looking bad. McClellan, you need to get closer to our main line to inspire these soldiers. We can see that the 11th Georgia is taking a beating, but so far they have not yet been beaten back. Enemy artillery is luckily running away, and here the 4th Mississippi Battery is coming up. These fine gentlemen need to move forward to get them, and our cavalry needs to dismount to greet approaching soldiers on our flank. I want this battery to move down. Maybe this is going to give us an edge on our flank. The rest of our guns are not always able to hit the enemy, but we are going to get them there. Let's hope that the 14th North Carolina is going to fall quickly. After that, the 13th North Carolina should also be beaten back within due time. 11th Georgia has now also received some more casualties. And they're sending more soldiers into this flank, but they're now also focusing on our own wings. Currently we're looking at a defeat, but the enemy has sustained a lot more casualties than us. There our detachment is running away, and we can see that finally our 1st reinforcements are en route. Divisional commander can Our divisional commander can stay back for a short while in case that we need to readjust movement. McRae's detachment is able to open up on the 16th Ohio. We do not have a lot of cover, but the enemy does. Let's get the men forward over here. Unless, of course, we can see, yeah, these forces are now opening up on our flank. No, they are focusing on this flank, meaning that our soldiers are in fact not really outflanked. They see soldiers on their side, but this side is not focusing on them. This is going to be good for us. Let's send these men up, And these men I want to, if possible, take over enemy guns. Now, gentlemen, advance on the enemy. We have more forces in the area that we need to drive back. 30th Pennsylvania is doing a good job firing on these enemies, and we should see some of them routing and breaking soon. The enemy is setting up over here. That is good. If they would have decided to push over here a lot stronger, we might have broken. Cold steel is not the thing that our cavalry should focus on. And we can now focus more forces down on these soldiers. We are now hitting the 13th North Carolina. They have 300 men, while we have over 890. Some of our men are running out of ammunition, but I hope to clear out this flank soon. These two regiments are hopefully enough. I accidentally sent out an infantry detachment to capture enemy guns. I wanted to get those artillery pieces, but I must have misclicked and redirected them to this given up artillery piece over there. So far they haven't taken casualties, meaning that the morale is still good, and we can see more Confederate soldiers routing. Apparently some cavalry has set up over here, 825 men in an ambush position on this road. Our reinforcements are coming up, but they should not be a threat to them. Yes, we have taken objective. We now have some 3-inch ordnances over here, and we are able to open fire on these forces. I also want to send these men up to this field. This should give us a little bit of coverage. Let's get the rest of our forces forward a bit. We can see that more of the enemy is coming up. But gentlemen, abort the order. Do not follow through. If possible, I want to keep this advantageous position that we already have. It looks like they're willing to once more move over the road, meaning that we would once more be able to flank them. These men I want to retreat to the fence line. And over here the situation is still developing. Enemy soldiers are still on the field, they are still taking casualties. Soon their morale should break. Yeah, 1st Virginia was unable to get back to the fence line, they now have to stand and fight. We can see that the 2nd Texas is already withdrawing, we are outflanking them from over here. And this battery has taken some casualties. Their morale is now taking a beating. Let's order these guns on counter battery fire, maybe we can silence some of the artillery pieces that are causing us trouble. I want to send our cavalry forward, but they have far too many soldiers over here. So let's just hope that they are going to stand where they are and not engage. First Brigade is coming down. Reinforcements are coming up. 16th Ohio is almost out of ammunition. The same goes for the 2nd Virginia. Let's get these men from Ohio also down. And we can see that a lot more enemy forces are coming up. We have some cover in the cornfield. This is hopefully going to save our men from Virginia. Let's get these men forward. And you gentlemen, stay and fight where you are. You are already in range of the enemy. We can see that over here the 8th Alabama is coming up, 850 men. We outnumber them and we have a carbine, meaning that we have a much quicker reload time. This should hopefully save the day. Some of our men now report a lack of ammunition. We have inflicted already 1,600 casualties on our enemy. And down here the 3rd Ohio is coming up. We need to be aware of these enemies on our flank. And I have definitely not forgotten them. We need to send our cavalry forward to actually hit the enemy. These guns have now stabilized. I hope they're shooting enemy artillery. And we need to send some more of our forces forward. Over here we have another regiment that can plug this hole on our wing. And these men can not only take over enemy artillery, they can also move forward a bit. We have the commander of the 31st Pennsylvania Infantry killed in action. These men are getting tired. 13th North Carolina is still on the field. Over a third of their force is already dead. Still, they are fighting. Artillery is still fighting, very good. We can see that the 26th Georgia has deployed on the field. These guns need to shift. Lawrence detachment has taken over a few more 3-inch ordnances. And we are able to lay down fire on the 26th Georgia. Over here the 2nd Florida just broke. And our cavalry has taken 35 casualties but inflicted 61. We have reinforcements coming up and this should be enough to break them over here. Depending how the situation develops, we might be able to beat back the enemy without our reinforcements. We have taken 700 casualties while the enemy suffered almost 2,000. Still, fighting is tough. 26th Georgia is now running. Let's send Warren's detachment on these artillery pieces. And position our soldiers on this fence line. I hope that the enemy once more is going to start a push, but it doesn't look like it for the moment. Down here our cavalry is getting hit without having the option to fire back. We are giving the fallback order. It looks like the enemy has some rifles with a very long range. Maybe they have whispers or something comparable. And over here the 16th Georgia is able to open up on our soldiers that are in cover. We need to send our men forward. Otherwise we will be simply shelled into submission without having the option to fire back. Over here our flank is still not clear. The 13th North Carolina is really dug in. 1st North Carolina is over here. Let's order these men to shift their focus. Maybe we can clear this unit and cause some trouble. 3rd Ohio I'm going to immediately send forward. And these men I'm going to order down on these enemy reinforcements to make sure that they cannot flank us. If successful, we also get a position on the enemy flank. 1st Virginia is very good. 1st Virginia is still confident. Their morale is looking very good, even though they have been in contact for a long time. Over here we are able to hit the 2nd Tennessee Battery. Hopefully we are also able to silence them. 1st Alabama is also there. Let's send out some skirmishers. Not only to help our beleaguered soldiers on this side, but to also take care of this Alabama battery. We're going to send skirmishers out to harass the 21st Georgia. And with these forces dealt with, we should be able to overrun the rest of the enemy force, especially now that our first wave of reinforcements is arriving. The 13th North Carolina is now getting outflanked. 3rd Ohio is without cover. They are cut off from the majority of their force, but we are still able to hit the enemy and we should be able to do some good damage. Over here more reinforcements are coming up. We have the 1st Iowa Cavalry coming up. They are already tired and they are already wavering. We can see that the 2nd Tennessee Battery is wavering. They have taken 5 casualties. And our men are able to do some damage to the enemy forces. Let's shift these soldiers around. We can see that the 20th Georgia is over there. I'm unwilling to send more forces forward in the moment. I'm waiting for some of our reinforcements to arrive. But let's now also pull up our artillery. We should have a better angle over there. And if these guns would simply break already, we would have a much easier time. I'm going to send the 9th Indiana forward to deal with the 20th Georgia. We can see that the 2nd Arkansas is in the area with about 500 men. So therefore let's also send our cavalry forward. Maybe we're able to get on their flank. But this is a bit of a gamble. We are at risk of overstretching our lines. 14th North Carolina is down to 177 soldiers. They have lost the majority of their men already. And down here we are about to descend on the enemy flanking force. First parts of our soldiers are about to make contact. More of our reinforcements are now coming up, and we can see that cavalry from Pennsylvania is on the side. They have moved up far beyond the rest of the force. They are also only stable. They are not in the best fighting shape. We are going to send them forward anyway because they are on the enemy flank. First Virginia has now taken over 200 casualties. And our cavalry has arrived on the enemy flank. We can see that the enemy still has a massive force blocked up. How are the casualties looking? So far we have now taken over 1,000 while the enemy has suffered 2,100 casualties. Let's now also send some more of our regiments forward. We have reinforcements about to enter the field, meaning that we should have a good time dealing with them. So these detachments might be able to hit the flank of these forces. 20th Georgia has taken 15 casualties. Our cavalry is going to suffer severely here. Yeah, they're getting fired at from 3 different brigades, from 3 different regiments. They will have to withdraw soon. For now they are still holding. Let's send another regiment down. Over here we are able to shoot in the rear of the 3rd Virginia. After that we are able to hit the 32nd. Our soldiers are unleashing fire. And we can see the next cavalry unit about to enter the field. 13th North Carolina is apparently willing to fight for the death. They know exactly how many forces they are binding. And it doesn't look like these men are actually able to shoot. Let's get them out. And yes, our cavalry needs to retreat. Run, men, run. Reinforcements are en route. You just need to get out of there without routing. Let's get these artillery detachments forward. And we have finally routed this unit. 13th North Carolina is falling back. They have lost the majority of their force. Let's now get down on the rest that the enemy has on this flank. After that we have a couple regiments freed up to leap around the enemy side. We are still looking at a minor defeat. The morale of our forces is still looking good. We have a morale of 45% while the enemy is down to 50. Meaning that our morale didn't took that much of a hit. Our cavalry unfortunately was routed, but our reinforcements are there. and we should be able to hold. Second Tennessee battery is down to 9 soldiers. It feels like 1 or 2 good salvies should end this unit. Let's have a look on the situation over here. We can see that the enemy is now apparently focusing more on our cavalry than on our main force. Something that we will definitely know to punish. I'm amazed they're still holding because they were wavering before. And we can see that the 13th North Carolina is withdrawing towards our own flank. First, Iowa, do not charge the enemy. Just get closer to them. More reinforcements are coming up. I'm going to send them down here to set up. We can now see that these forces are getting outflanked. They should run soon. Second Tennessee battery is limping back with 6 soldiers remaining. 16th Georgia should follow soon. Now, what is left to contest us? First South Carolina is over here. The 2nd Alabama is also on the field. And over here the men from Georgia. These men wanted to redirect their forces. We are not going to allow that. Instead, they need to press on. All of our men now need to press on. These men are still able to hit the 16th Georgia. And over here the 36th Virginia is about to fall back. 6th Georgia is also trying to get out of the situation. And I want our men from Indiana to move forward on them. th Georgia now took over 140 casualties, but our forces are also bleeding. Our main problem is that we are running out of ammunition. Over here we have the 16th Georgia flanked. Very good. And yes, it looks like these forces are now also finally running. First North Carolina is down to 30 men. They have held very good. And apparently our cavalry still wants to charge, even though I have given out different orders already. These men are now falling back under fire. We have the 1st South Carolina over here. This cavalry unit is fairly much under strength. Our own cavalry was here not yet able to recover. Let's get our artillery forward. Some of our guns have taken some casualties, but the majority of them is still looking good. And down here we can see that the 6th Georgia is still on the field battling our cavalry. Our cavalry took 75 casualties and mounting, but they have regained their composure. Let's try to get these forces around the flank, and the 86th New York has arrived to join the fight. Back here, the 5th Brigade wasn't able to join the fight yet. Let's send them over here. The artillery will be left behind during the march. I do not care. Commander of the 2nd Division, move forward. And more forces are coming up. Yeah, we can see that our cavalry is in contact. They are going to be driven back. But it looks like they were able to drive back the 1st Louisiana in the process. Therefore, let's get these forces forward while the rest of these men can focus on the enemy flank. Let's get everyone up and forward. We are still looking at a minor defeat. And over here the rest of the enemy flanking force has crumbled. Let's now get this entire brigade forward. We are trying to get on this side and we are going to smash them down. Cooper Mountain Road is in arm's length. We now have 13 o'clock and therefore still a couple hours daylight left. These cavalrymen are holding very well. They have only taken 67 casualties, but they also only number 200 in this regiment. Come on, man, you just need to hold out for a little while longer. Once we have won this battle, we will be supplied. We can get enemy supplies, we can eat, we can rest, but first we need to get them out of here. First Brigade is unable to move. They have not yet received orders. The divisional command is getting closer, meaning that they should also now get the option to get the news out. But of course I was mistaken. These men are part of this brigade. Therefore, let's give out some individual orders to get the men up and running, as this unit is very much needed over here. We're driving back the 16th Georgia. They are fighting a very good retreating battle. Enemy cavalry is the next target, and over here we can focus. Well, we can't focus these units on the enemy flank because then we would expose ours. But our cavalry is back. Let's send them out once more and prepare for a possible opportunity. 30th Pennsylvania is soon going to break. They have taken over 300 casualties and they're getting hit relentlessly. Well, these guns are almost completely out of ammunition. They only have low range ammunition left. Let's get them forward. Maybe they can shoot from over there. And this brigade is about to set up. I want them to set up over here now. They need to follow the front, and we are driving back more of the enemy's forces. Very good. Let's get our boys forward on the enemy flanks. I'm afraid we are running out of breath. We have now taken over 1,700 casualties. Our luck from before seemingly has run out, but the enemy has suffered far worse. They have now taken almost 28% of casualties in total. And I'm willing to risk it. Let's send the 6th Indiana down. Let's hope this is not going to expose their flank, but we definitely need to deal with the 20th Georgia. 1st South Carolina is standing in the way of the 2nd Alabama battery. But we are now driving away more and more of their forces. Over here our men from Ohio need to move up. These men can now also move down on the enemy flank, and we have cavalry coming up that can get the 32nd Virginia. And if possible we are simply going to overrun them because we have much more forces. Over here New Yorkers are approaching. Come on, man, you're running down a hill. You should get a nice charge bonus from that. Crush them. Yes, there the enemy is running. Colquitt's brigade commander is over there. He has taken over 300 casualties. It looks like this unit was the only one of his men that was still in fighting shape. And we are going to get our cavalry up this flank. Over here these regiments are making contact. These men from Indiana have been left behind. Let's order them up. Some of our men are out of ammunition. And this regiment needs to move forward. 2nd Tennessee is now getting some fire. But they are a large battery. They have over 50 soldiers remaining. We are going to get them eventually. 7th Alabama is over here. They look like they have bled heavily. Yes, they are only 97 soldiers. And these guns are running. The cavalry should now also run. Wonderful. Let's get these men up. Soldiers over here are pushing up. We want them to get on the flank of the 20th Georgia. That is finally wavering. Let's get our cavalryman dismounted. Georgia is running, thank goodness. These men still need to push forward. After that I want to leave them behind, but for now they need to move up. More reinforcements are now finally getting closer to our battle line. And this brigade commander can also push forward. Let's send all of our forces down to get on the now weakened enemy flank. It looks like they are in disarray. New Yorkers are still coming up the hill. They have taken their sweet time to get over here. And our cavalry is on the flank of the enemy. These men from Tennessee are going to open up, but hopefully this is going to be enough to deal with the men from Arkansas. They are wavering. They've only taken 9 casualties, but I'm sure they are completely exhausted from the fight. And of course from seeing their friends running. It is now time to send our artillery forward. I want them on this high ground. And we have an entire fresh brigade that I'm simply going to send forward. We have now achieved a major victory. The enemy has sustained too many casualties. They were fighting us tooth and nail. 1900 men we have lost so far, but the enemy suffered 3,300 casualties, over 30% of their corps. Come on, men, hunt them, hunt them, hunt them. The more we kill today, the less we have to kill tomorrow. And the closer we will get to an end of this conflict. Plus is none of them is left. I doubt they can burn down the supply depots. This is my number one concern. We are running out of supplies. Amazingly, they are still willing to fight. Their morale has not yet broken. But it is starting to go down. They're down to 19 points. And these forces are outflanked on multiple sides. We have more men coming up, but the majority of these soldiers are unfortunately low on ammunition. And these New Yorkers have finally made it to the battlefield. Very good. We should see a mass rout of the enemy soon. And we can see that down here the 2nd Florida is trying to build up a new defense. Many of their broken forces have gathered in the woods, but it doesn't look like they have an actual fighting line. Our own fighting lines are in the meantime completely disintegrating, because I'm simply sending our men forward to hunt them. And it's only going to be a matter of time until we finally win. If this fight somehow drags on even further, I will really be surprised. Gentlemen, if possible, charge down this fleeing unit. And I wonder if they actually have anything left that is still able to do their job. Over here another brigade is coming up. Let's send them down here. And let's try to get some sense of unity back into our command. The enemy is on the retreat. Very good. I will try to hunt down some of their forces, but I doubt that this will succeed. And there we have our major federal victory in the Battle of Ashboro. In total, the enemy suffered almost 3,400 casualties and they have lost all of their artillery pieces. On our side, we have lost 1,942 men. It is now reported that the army of Shenandoah is fleeing in a panic and Colonel Lansing loses face. Lieutenant Cox loses face as well, and the support for the rebel cause wavers. the enemy reportedly suffered 3,398 casualties, and thereof 507 men were killed and over 1,040 were captured. On our own side, we have suffered 274 killed and 357 men missing, the rest is wounded. We were also able to get our hands on 1,940 rifles and 7 artillery pieces. And in about 1 or 2 days, our supply stations alongside Fayetteville are going to be ready. We are now besieging the enemy near Greenville. I was not aware of that. Let's take a look where this is taking place. Okay, I guess because our soldiers were ordered in a defensive stance to protect our advance on this city. We're going to let that continue until the rest of our forces have arrived, and then we're going to smash through the Confederate lines. McDowell has arrived on his position. He is going to capture this town, and it looks like this is the next capital of the enemy. He is also going to be ordered to build up a supply station. And we can see that the Hamptons Road Squadron is over there. They have over 19 ships, 12 are disabled, but they still have over 139 guns. And we can see that these ships aren't even able to compete with that. I'm going to order this flotilla to return to port. The majority of their ships are disabled, and there's nothing really that they could blockade anyway. Our position in Charlotte is looking good. We have supplies, and we are about to capture it. These men are still taking their sweet time coming up. And these men have finally made it to Lynchburg. They have the option to recover slightly, and then we will need to take care of the Army of the Northwest. They have over 3,000 soldiers already, but this should not deter us. How is the situation in Norfolk looking? It is still taking 2 days until this supply depot is up and running, and our men are out of provisions. Let's simply hope that the provisions are going to arrive shortly, otherwise we will have to retreat them so that our soldiers can eat. Once our supply stations in Fayetteville are up and running and our men are receiving food, we are going to send 2 divisions down to Marion and Columbia. For now, we are going to continue. The 1st Division is still hanging back over here. We have 11,000 soldiers besieging the enemy, and therefore I do not think that we will have to wait. We are going to order a charge. Or not, the enemy has decided to withdraw as soon as I wanted to give the order. But it still looks like, nope, we cannot get into battle anymore. Let's just hope they're not going to burn down this supply depot. They have some provisions in there that we desperately need. And to our north, we are arriving at this depot. Let's get our forces forward. Greensboro still hasn't built up their supply station. I'm going to order them to build one. And we have some supplies in Graham, but they are going to run out almost immediately. Ashboro doesn't have any, but the Ashboro depot is also out of supplies, meaning that our soldiers will need to hold on for the moment. We can see that the Confederates are building up a new station down here. And we can see that the Army of the Potomac is trying to get closer to our soldiers. They are withdrawing. We will need to follow them. And while we were able to secure some provisions, it was definitely not enough. But we have many in New Bern. So therefore, let's give some new orders to the men. Once in New Bern, our forces are going to resupply. Once they have their provisions, we are going to send them down to contest these enemy forces. We are officially still evenly matched with our enemy, but I doubt that this assumption is correct. And we can see that some provisions have reached Raleigh, meaning that if necessary we are going to send some of our forces up to collect them from there. Our 2nd Division is going to build up the supply depot up there, and I hope that in Ashton we are still able to receive some. First provision is now full with provisions, but low on everything else. And we know that the enemy has more forces in the area. Army of the Shenandoah is about to link up with Morgan's raiders, and Charlotte is now officially captured. And as it doesn't look like the enemy has anyone in the area except these units, I'm quite tempted in sending them down, but for now I think this has to wait. We will have to hunt them down beforehand. And yes, the 2nd Division has now received food. 3rd Division is also about to receive provisions and ammunition. Over here these men are still struggling. Provisions are there, but ammunition supply is not. 2nd Division is now almost fully supplied again. And it looks like that this army is moving. Let's hope they are not going to harass our industrial heartland. They are now setting up station in Hillsborough. Because the Army of New York is unable to do much right now. I am going to send them forward to Staunton though. We can use the railroad for that, meaning that our soldiers are hopefully able to move. And yes, we have over here weapons and provisions to feed our hungry soldiers. How is this force behind our side looking? Field score is 2,900 men strong. And these men are now fully supplied again. Meaning that we're going to send the Army of the Potomac forward to hit them. Down here our men are resupplying. It is going to take a little bit of time until we have enough ammunition, but then we are marching out again. We're going to attack the enemy down here. And we can now see that our Army of the Potomac is engaging the enemy. We have over 10,000 infantrymen on the field while the enemy has only 7,800. Magruber is in our way once more, but if I remember correctly, these forces are quite fresh. Well, this was a waste of time. The enemy has decided to withdraw without giving us a proper fight. Ah yes, what a glorious victory. No shots were fired and still we were able to capture 39 deserters. The enemy would have really been able to hold back our advance for a solid minute or two if they would have decided to fight there. But luckily it didn't have to end like that. We are still taking some casualties while we are skirmishing in and out with the enemy. And now we are getting over the river and taking this supply up. The enemy has now to withdraw, but I do not know exactly where. This is worrying me a little bit, and therefore I want the Army of the Potomac to further harass these enemies. Maybe we are able to deal the killing blow to these forces, and we can see that over here still forces are ready on the field. And yes, we have once more linked up with Magruber's forces. Let's find out if he is willing to fight this time, but I can guarantee him that now he has lost his best advantage. Today is November 25th, 1862. Our scouts report that the enemy is near Margarettsville Bridge, North Carolina, and our army is to prepare for battle. We are facing Field Corps under command of John B. Magruder with strengths of some 3,000 men and 4 guns. The enemy army is green and the morale is reported to be confident. Reports indicate their supply situation is outstanding and our supply situation is outstanding as well. We are going to send our men forward and this time we are going to get over Roberts Ford. This way we are not going to get killed on the slopes and we should have an easier time approaching the enemy. Reinforcements are going to come up soon. And if the enemy withdraws once more, I'm not willing to engage him again if this means that we have to fight on this very disadvantaged position once more. And it looks like this corps only has very limited artillery. I will definitely need to reinforce that at a given moment. We're going to approach the enemy over this road. This should give us some good cover when we set up. And we should be able to deal with the men alongside the old market turn without much problems. And we have now received reinforcements. 5,000 more men are streaming onto the battlefield. Once they have deployed, we are going to send them forward as well. Okay, it looks like these are every one of them. Let's get them up alongside this pass. We're going to move up on the log cabin and then we're going to descend down. It is 10 o'clock now. Maybe we are not able to finish this fight today, but I do hope so. The first parts of our forces are moving along. It is a unit from Illinois and after there is some cavalry. More infantry is coming up and all of these soldiers are battle-hardened veterans. Warren's Corner is better defended than the further northern location, but unless they send massive reinforcements north, they are unable to hold this position. They are now moving, they are shifting some of their forces. Skirmishers are approaching and we can see that the 1st Tennessee Battery is setting up. The majority of our soldiers should be quite well protected. And I'm going to wait until all of these forces have arrived on target before we are moving forward. It is now almost 15 o'clock and the majority of our units have deployed. At least from our 2nd Division. We have now some forces coming up that do want to spoil our war plans. Instead of approaching the enemy in a sensible way, they are willing to march straight to our own lines instead of going around it. I maybe should have been a little bit clearer in my instructions. Well, it is too late to change that now. Let's order our soldiers forward to make sure that our men that are rushing up from the rear are not going to get massively surprised. We can now see that the 2nd North Carolina is coming up and the 14th Virginia is also approaching. And apparently none of these forces want to go the route previously ordered. Some of them are luckily going through the woods. Still, let's simply order them on a new position. Fighting has begun. We are luckily getting some cover from these cornfields. And enemy artillery is starting to shell us. Our own guns should be able to deliver some counter battery fire. Let's set them up. And these men are taking some hits. Terrorist detachment is on the field together with a unit of cavalry that is already outflanked. And we are going to send our forces forward to hopefully deal with them quickly. Reinforcements are en route. Let's hope they are not doing something completely stupid. We're able to outflank the 3rd Kentucky. And our men are ordered to open fire. I want these cavalrymen to move on our flank. And these artillery pieces are hopefully going to make short work of the 1st Tennessee. We can see that the 14th Virginia is now falling back. Let's get these men forward. They are out in the open, they have the most danger immediately. And over here I'm going to send our reinforcements up. The battle plan I had is completely busted. So therefore, let's improvise. We can see that over here the 3rd Kentucky is falling back. And we are now so lucky to get on the flank of the enemy. I guess they have underestimated our presence in the cornfield. 2nd North Carolina battery is over here. They've already taken casualties. We are raining down on the enemy. These soldiers should fall quickly now. Let's send the 5th Illinois forward a little bit to get further on the enemy flank. and these men can simply deploy onto the enemy. So these guns are going to set up over here. And I want these cavalrymen to march up for a short minute. So they're going to hit the enemy flanks and then they're going to withdraw. More soldiers are getting deployed to hit our forces. And the 10th Maine has taken a couple of casualties. 1st Wisconsin is also getting hit hard. And down here we can see that the 1st North Carolina has deployed. They are isolated though. Canister is going to take a huge hit on our morale. 2nd North Carolina battery is already fleeing. And we can see more of the enemy force routing. The artillery is now also running away. Let's get these soldiers forward to maybe capture some of their prized guns. I want these cavalrymen to move down here, and we can see that the enemy has deployed their last reserves. So far we have only suffered 117 casualties while the enemy suffered almost 500. And our cavalry has deployed on the enemy flank. We are dealing with a bunch of detachments. And we should have an easy time cleaning going up. Yes, the enemy infantry detachments are falling back. Let's send our men forward. We can see that the 1st Tennessee battery is now in a desperate struggle. They are going to fall back soon. Let's get these men up on our flank. And these fine gentlemen can move forward onto the enemy. The last of the enemy skirmish line have withdrawn. And I want our cavalry to move up over here simply so that the enemy knows that we have something on the flank. 2nd Kentucky is over here opening fire on our soldiers. They have over 892 soldiers. And it looks like this is their first combat encounter. These artillery pieces need to wheel around. Very nice. And it looks like the enemy is about to break. Let's get all of our soldiers forward. More of them are routing. And it looks like we are actually able to capture some more of the enemy's guns. We have now officially achieved a minor victory. And these fresh, hastily recruited and even worse trained troops cannot really stop our onslaught. We only suffered 169 casualties so far, but inflicted over 626. The enemy is now running away, and maybe we can even silence an infantry battery on their retreat. Come on men, move forward. We are now officially taking over Old Market Turn. But this is hardly going to matter. The enemy is going to withdraw the field in a minute. Our cavalrymen are in contact with the enemy. They are trying to make a fighting retreat. Our soldiers armed with the whole carbine should be able to destroy them though, especially now that more reinforcements are on the way. And down here the 4th Pennsylvania Cavalry is coming up. They are trying to get the 1st Tennessee Battery. And we see more and more enemy forces running away. Yes, we have captured the 1st Tennessee Battery. They are down to 10 soldiers. Let's continue to hunt them. And our artillery is also able to open up on this unit from Kentucky. Now men, wheel around and give them fire from the rear. Over here more of our soldiers are getting ready to open fire. Let's do that and then run in there. Charge, charge, charge! These men from Kentucky are our prize. We have inflicted some more casualties on them. Still, the majority of them got away. For some reason, the battle isn't over already. Have they received reinforcements? No, it doesn't look like that. Have they forces that are still willing to fight? It also doesn't look like that. Well then, 1st Brigade, you're going to get Warren's corner. And I want this brigade to march forward over here. We're now simply going to speed up time and watch the enemy flee the field. If they're so foolish enough that they want to counterattack, this is absolutely fine by me. Yes, now the enemy has withdrawn. They have suffered over 744 casualties. They have lost all of their artillery pieces, while we only sustained 200 losses. Let's hope even more of them are going to surrender. Now that we are victorious at Margarettsville Bridge, Field's Corps is in retreat. General Daniel loses face and the support for the rebel corps wavers. Allegedly, we were able to kill over 100 rebels and capture 272 of them. Of our own 200 casualties, 39 men were killed and 32 were missing. We were also able to capture 387 rifles and 8 artillery pieces from the enemy. And now we should see the rebels run once more. To our south, we should be about ready to move forward. 2nd Division is fully supplied. 1st Division is not. Okay, we will need to send the 1st Division back. I'm going to give them the engineering and mechanics perk in case that we have to build up more supply. And down here, these forces, well, they have provisions, but they do not have a lot else. Our weakest units are the 2nd and the 5th Division. Therefore, I'm going to send our 2nd Division down to capture Marion. And our 4th Division is going to be sent down all the way to Columbia. If we're able to capture this town with a massively built up infrastructure, we should be able to win this war. The rest of our forces in the meantime are going to move forward to engage the enemy. This way we are hopefully able to press the enemy north and into the hands of our Army of Occupation. Down here we have the Army of the Potomac getting ready. They have roughly 850 soldiers, meaning that they're not even a threat to McDowell's men. Still, McDowell is going to get field hospitals and Wilmington is also about to fall. And I want these units to move up. The majority of them are very well supplied with ammunition. And they are also not hungry anymore. Meaning that we should have an easy time dealing with those soldiers, allowing us to leave Fayetteville unguarded. In Charlotte, we are going to leave some soldiers behind simply because the enemy could run into our western direction and they would be too weak to deal with that on their own. The rest of the front line is currently looking good. We are continuously going to hunt down these forces. And up north, our Army of New York has reached their destination. We can see that the Army of the Northwest is still stuck behind our lines. And the Army of New York has the option to recover slightly. And we now have the option to upgrade these forces with better rifles. So far, not enough guns were available to give them something better. And we're even able to give them better artillery. Very nice. With that, we should have a fighting advantage over these enemies, even though we are a green unit. We can see that the Army of the Northwest is withdrawing. I guess they want to suck up some supply. and this depot still has some provisions left in it. But that should hardly matter now. Our forces are now getting dispersed over the entire south. We are pushing them back even further. Our first division has arrived and soon they should have received some more ammunition. Unless, of course, we have completely sucked that up. And we are now once more besieging the enemy. Over here we can see that the enemy is further on the retreat. Let's send Butler forward to deal with that. And where are we under siege? Ah yes, down here. We are besieging Vance's division. We once more heavily outnumber our enemy. And I think for the moment I will simply allow all forces to get closer to the enemy and to besiege him. The 2nd division is still on the way. And I think it is more important that we are getting closer to Marion and to the capital of South Carolina. Over here we are getting into contact with the enemy. And now the army of the Potomac is fleeing from Keensville. We can see that over here even more enemy forces are fleeing. And these men are also ready for action again. We're going to send these men down and we're going to send our remaining soldiers upwards. We're going to link up with our forces. And it looks like the 2nd division pulled back. Some enemy forces have apparently decided to make a stand there. And once more, the army of occupation is in contact with the enemy. In total, we field over 19,000 soldiers, while the enemy has only 7,000 men on the field. Our 2nd division is present on the battlefield from the beginning. They have 14,000 men and single-handedly are going to outnumber our enemy. We can see that over here our 2nd division is about to head into Marion. And apparently the forces that we have besieged over here have completely disintegrated. Those of them who slipped through our lines have apparently moved down here. But they are now completely under strength. Okay then, let's send the army of occupation into battle once more. Our scouts report that the enemy is near Troy, North Carolina, and our army is to prepare for battle. We are facing the army of Shenandoah under command of Patton Anderson with strength of some 6,000 men and 12 guns. The enemy army is battle experienced and the morale is reported to be stable. Reports indicate their supply situation is outstanding and our supply situation is outstanding as well. Our objective is this crossroad down here, but unfortunately we have to deploy from all the way back there. I'm going to send my men forward and we are going to establish a position alongside this road. From there we should have an easy time over the little Thunder Mountain to get down on the enemy. Our first units are coming up and it looks like the enemy is unwilling to move. So far only a battery from Arkansas has set up and we have 16 o'clock, meaning that the daylight is going to run out fairly soon. Let's hope the majority of our men are getting into position so that we can take care of Little Thunder Mountain. The battle can begin and the enemy has deployed to meet us. Let's send our soldiers forward to immediately overrun their scattered forces. We see that some of them are holding up in the woodlands, but some of their forces have pushed forward. They are completely surrendering this high ground to us, and I have every intention to capitalize on that. Some of our infantry are coming up to deal with the enemy infantry and with these artillery pieces. Our own artillery is forcing up a massive bombardment on them. 2nd Alabama battery is 46 men strong, 7th Alabama is only 94 men strong. Meaning that these soldiers should have an easy time dealing with our soldiers. Down here the 3rd Mississippi battery is good target practice, and the same goes with the other battery in the area. So these forces are coming up. And over here I'm also going to send this brigade forward. And I want these cavalrymen to charge into the enemy before they can get reinforced by infantry. I hope we are quick enough to overrun them. First Texas is also fairly weak. The same goes with the Mississippi battery, meaning that one charge should potentially be enough to wipe out 2 batteries. Yes, these are 2 batteries dealt with. Now the men can withdraw. And down here these soldiers can also move forward. And I want these men on the flank. Soldiers simply charge into the rear of the enemy. This should break them. Artillery fire is now also coming in. They are starting to waver. And yes, these men are now running. 7th Alabama is still on the field, but they are only 33 men strong and have now also routed. And with our cavalry coming in, this regiment be dealt with. Come on, they only have 9 men and they're running in directly through you. Well, that's mildly disappointing. I was hoping that they would be wiped out completely. Anyway, let's get our men forward. Over here, our soldiers are going to get entrenched in the woods, while our artillery is going to hang up over here. They have a good position on shelling the enemy. And we can see that down here the 8th Alabama is coming forward. The stone church should fall quickly. The enemy only has 7,800 men, while we have over 14,000. So far we already took 115 casualties, while the enemy suffered 156. We of course can replace those losses, while our enemy cannot. Our forces are coming up. And over here this brigade is hanging back to give the artillery a better firing field. But let's disperse them a little. This lone regiment came out to greet us. Let's utterly annihilate them. And there we have the 8th Alabama falling back already. Over here our guns are taking some counter battery fire. Let's switch up the target. And looks like the enemy is hoping that we would bite and run into this trap over here. Instead we are simply going to send the 1st Brigade down to rain down on their flank. 8th Alabama is withdrawing. And we're going to send this brigade up over here. This brigade is going to come up as support. And this fairly large brigade is going to take our center. Our infantry is, once we are in position, going to rush out and take over this wall. These men can move up. And these guns can shell the enemy as much as they please. But I guess maybe I would have to send some of the batteries back. It looks like the field of fire was better over there. The first parts of this brigade have arrived on the enemy flank. We are going to send everyone forward. We're not going to wait until everyone is in position. We can already see that the 4th Texas battery is wavering. They've taken 2 casualties, I guess, from counter battery fire. And over here I'm also going to send a couple soldiers forward. We can capture these artillery pieces down here. And we should soon see a rout of the enemy. These guns can now shift and focus their fire on the 3rd Arkansas. Or on these forces. It looks like they can hit them as well. And these New Yorkers can push forward on the line. It looks like the enemy flank over here is now weakened. And these regiments are fairly under strength. Let's send our men forward. And order our guns to open fire. These gentlemen were facing the wrong way. Come on. Get on the trench line in a sensible fashion. And over here the brigade commander can move up. We're now going to send these men forward to further crush the enemy sides, and I do not know what these men are doing. Well, let's order them to attack. In fact, let's order everyone to attack. We are in position. And it looks like the majority of the enemy has crumbled already. I can see more brigade and divisional commanders on the field than I can see actual combatants. Let's give everyone a fitting target and move forward. We are so far still looking at a minor defeat. We have suffered 218 casualties, while the enemy suffered 331. We should soon see that the stone church is changing hands. And we're going to throw more infantry into the mix. But these artillery pieces are apparently unable to fire. Let's move some of them forward. And over here the 6th Georgia should soon be driven back. We can see that the 8th Alabama is over here. And our men are now opening fire on the 3rd Texas battery. Over here another battery is running away. Let's send some men forward to capture their guns. We can see that they still have some soldiers that are able to fight, but they are not engaging us. I guess they're getting smarter and decide not to die for this lost cause. These artillery detachments have now set up. We are opening fire on the enemy. More of our soldiers are coming forward. And down here, miraculously, the 3rd Texas has not yet been completely destroyed. Soldiers over here can move forward. And over here, our soldiers weren't able to drive back the enemy yet. But the 6th Georgia is taking damage, and over here this detachment is under danger of a cavalry charge. 3rd Virginia only has 3 men, meaning that this detachment should very well be able to defend on their own. But apparently not. They were routed by the last 2 still standing cavalrymen. Only 1 is left. Come on, men. This cannot be that hard. Well, I guess this cavalry regiment is going away once more. Let's send some of our cavalry up to protect our flanks. We can see that they still have soldiers over here. We are now about to capture the stone church. We have taken 400 casualties while the enemy suffered 800 losses. And if we continue like that, we will simply wiggle Magruber's force down. Yes, over here the enemy flank has collapsed. Let's get the man up and running. 4th Tennessee Battery is over here. They have deployed a lot of different artillery units. Still, this will not help them. 4th Tennessee Battery is over here. They have regained some of their strength but lost all of their guns already. And our forces have now arrived on the flank of the enemy. We can see that Hansen's brigade is getting led around our own flank. Let's send some cavalry up, because I do not think that the enemy is actually going to stand long enough to do something with it. But these artillery pieces need to shift slightly, maybe they can then shell them. The 13th Maryland Battery is wavering. They've only taken 1 casualty, but it looks like they are not very experienced. Maybe it is their first or second battle. '86 New York is wavering. They have taken a lot of casualties. Let's order them to retreat. The rest of our men are still looking good and we are pushing forward. The enemy is now running away. Very good. We can hit some more of their forces. And now the last resistance is breaking down. And after this fight we have only suffered 584 casualties but inflicted 1,200. And after our victory at Troy, the army of Shenandoah withdraws once more. General Betty becomes a national hero and Colonel Stern loses face. With the support for the rebel cause wavers once more. And from the 1,200 casualties we have inflicted, 188 men were killed and 513 were captured. We ourselves have suffered 108 killed and 134 missing. We were able to get 622 rifles and 12 artillery pieces from the battlefield. And I assume that if we are able to rout an enemy unit, the leftovers of their forces are going to appear in one of the major cities of the state. This is going to make it a little bit harder for us to finally take care of the last remnants of the Confederate forces, but we will manage. And if we now take a look on the strategy once more, we can see that the national morale of the Confederacy has dropped down to 59 points, while ours is up to 72. They still have a lot of regional support, and the morale of their armies is not as bad as you would expect. But the total casualties for the Confederacy have now also exceeded the 100,000 man margin. They are still able to field 20,400 soldiers, but they won't be able to do that for long. A part of me was hoping that this would be a massive last episode of this war, but apparently we still have to fight on a little while longer. But this has to be it for now. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.